In this video, we're going to add some animation and pizzazz to our website by animating and transitioning things in and out on a block based on where you're scrolling. So I'm just going to open up this example website I was working on in a previous tutorial, and I'm just going to change to the iPad view so we can see here our website. And I'm going to click the Add Blocks button on the left-hand side. I'm going to search for the HTML, just a custom HTML block. And I'm going to drag this just down here so that it's underneath, it's off the screen, it's underneath these other two options here. Now, first off, I'm just going to show you the scroll object. So I'm going to write a pre-tag, do some mustache tags here, and just write the word scroll. And here you can see there's an object that Fluoro puts into your blocks by default that has the direction that you are scrolling in and out. So we've scrolled down to get to this block. A property called before, after, and active. So active means that it's actually on the screen. It's visible to the person as they scroll down to it. Before would mean, if we scroll up here, technically before is true when it's off the screen. We haven't actually scrolled there yet. We're before that block. And after is after we scroll further off the screen. So I'm just going to add another block here just to show you. And once this block up here goes off the screen, it's then going to be in the after state. If we scroll back up, it's going to be in the active state. So now that we've got that out of the way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an extra class. So up here, I'm just going to do :class equals. I'm going to create an object, and we're going to add an active class with a colon if scroll.active. We're going to add a before class if scroll.before, and an after class if scroll.after. Now we can do that by passing our own object in for the classes, or we could just write the word scroll because it already has before active archived, things like that. Now, if we right click on the screen, and we'll just bring up the inspector here, you'll be able to click the inspector and you'll see here that div has the active class on it. And now if I scroll down, it's got the after class on it. And if I scroll back up, it'll have the before class. So you can see it in action there. And now what we're going to do is add some styles. So what we can do is I'm just going to add an extra static class. So I'm not going to put the colon in front of it. I'm just going to call this the word wrapper, just because. And I'm going to write wrapper here. And what I want to do is do a little and symbol and then write the word .active. So we've got the active, we've got, copy and paste that, before and after. And here I'm going to add a class of background red and color white. And you'll see that that's gone red and white because currently it's on the screen and it's in the active class. For the before class, I actually want it to be black, let's say. Or actually, let's just leave that here. So basically, we'll just go back to nothing. We haven't specified what it looks like before or after. So when we scroll off the screen, you won't actually be able to see it, but off the screen, it's not going to be red anymore. And then when we scroll it on the screen, it's going to be red. And what we want to do is add a transition. So just in the wrapper up here, we're going to add the transition property. I'm going to write all. I'm going to write 0. Actually, let's make it a little bit more obvious. Make it 2 seconds. So if I scroll off, that's now fading out. And if I scroll back in, you'll see how it fades in now once we get to that position. And it fades in, and it fades out. And what we can do now is basically animate everything else inside this block. So I'm just going to write the word text here. So we add an extra class of text. And I'm going to, up here, write the word text. We'll do a class of text. And we'll say transition for the text can be 1 second. So all 1 second. And inside these tags here, because we're using SCSS, we can actually nest tags. So I'm going to write .text, and I'm going to do a transform, translate X, And before we get to this, before we get to this block in our scrolling, I want to put this as negative 100 VW or 100%, and this one I want to be 100%. So basically what happens is before we get to this block, I want this whole text div, which contains all of this stuff, I want this to be off to the left of the screen, so on the x-axis, right off the left of the screen, and when we scroll after it, I want it to scroll right off to the right-hand side of the screen. And what we might do is before and after, we'll just write opacity 0, and we can have a bit of a fade in there. And let's see what happens. So we'll scroll down here, we'll scroll up, and you'll see how it comes in from the right-hand side and changes color. And if I go up here and then scroll down, it comes in from the left-hand side. So that's how you can animate things in and out based on the scroll position. Now, what you might notice is that if I quickly scroll off and back, it's going to keep doing that. You can play around with transition delays. You can play around with a whole bunch of different options in CSS. So for instance, we could do a transition delay of maybe 0.5 of a second. And that means that if we scroll off, if we come back, there'll be actually, let's make it a little bit more delayed. We'll make it 1 second. If we come up here and back off, then when we scroll in, there should be a bit of a delay. Now I may have gotten that wrong, but yeah, that's the essentials in scrolling and animating things in when you get into, once you scroll a block onto the screen.